Hey there, welcome to Saxy Connections, your newest podcast in 2026. Hi, I'm your hostess with the mostest, Miss Saxy. Thank you for joining, and welcome to our big launch day. This is a tremendous milestone for me, something that I always wanted to do. And I want to give you a little bit of background. But before I do that, I want to wish everyone out there happy belated Valentine's Day. Now, whatever you did, whether you went out with a loved one, whether you spent time with the kids, or whether you just sat home on a couch and did nothing, at the end of the day, as long as you had a wonderful, wonderful day, that is all that matters, right? So, anyway, getting back to providing you a little bit of background on of what this podcast is. So, last year I decided to retire, and I decided to retire because I refuse to die working on the job. Unfortunately, I've reached that era where you know family, friends, and acquaintances, all within my age range, unfortunately, they're dying. So I don't get to do all that juicy gossip talking like we used to do back in the day, when we found out somebody was dating somebody or having a baby or what have you. That was that. And so I said to myself, girl, you have to do something. Now, what that something is, I was all over the place. I was like, oh, maybe I should open a restaurant. Maybe I should do this. Maybe I should try home improvements. Whatever the case is, I knew I had to do something. And here's the crazy part. So I went out with a special friend. He took me on a trip, and we happened to go to a lounge that had live music. And the saxophone player walked over to me and he played a song from Stevie Wonder. And I have to admit, I love, 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 loved every moment of it. Now, here's the thing, I've been on thousands of dates, or maybe hundreds. I don't want to sound, whatever. But anyway, they all of them have been extravagant. The only difference is that I can't remember. I can remember certain things, but they were nice. Helicopter rides, restaurants, fancy restaurants, all that good stuff. And I was like, or whatever. But for whatever reason, that moment was the most memorable moment of my life. I don't know about you guys, but all I can talk about is my life. Now, Mama always said that sometimes it's the littlest or the simplest things that mean and matter the most. And that was it. Like I said, for me, that was it. So, anyway, with that being said, I decided, well, you know what? I got to do something. So, what are you going to do? I'm going to play the saxophone. Okay. And are you just going to play the saxophone? No, I want to be one of the greatest saxophone players. I want to be on somebody's stage or on somebody's TV show. I have to do it. You know what I'm saying? I guess for me, even the money wasn't or isn't that important anymore. Again, when you reach a certain age, you tend to think a little differently. But anyway, if you know me, you know everything that I own, I give it a name. And so here's my sax. Her name is Goldie, and she's an alto saxophone. Um, I tried to get all the accessories needed to make it work. So I got the cleaner, which is required, and that's to clean the horn because when you blow it, it sounds pretty disgusting, but you do a lot of spinning. Um, I got the what do you call this thing? Anyway, it's like a harness to so you can hold the saxophone up because this thing is not light. It's somewhat heavy, but it's manageable. Um, I have Mel My supporter, say hi, Mel. He was just delivered to me yesterday. He's my biggest supporter. Thank you, thank you. And I have Sunny. Sunny is my saxophone figurine. He's one of my supporter, and also he gives me inspiration. And then I have Miss Saxy because she is a sex symbol for real, for real. And so that was very much needed. Oh my gosh, I'm like blocking the mic, but work with me, work with me, work with me, y'all. And then thanks to my daughter, she was like, when you start having conversations and talks, make sure you put your coffee in your cup. And as you can see, it says Saxy Connections. However, I don't know if it'll always be coffee. Maybe once in a blue moon, but anyway, that's a discussion for a different day. Um, I'm just trying to get organized here. I have a notebook just to jot down some notes because I'm at that age now where I tend to forget a lot of things. And I'd be like, oh, damn, I should have did this or I should have said that, whatever. I'm just trying to think, what else do I have? That's that's pretty much everything in terms of the saxophone. Now, as far as the podcast itself, you can tell I'm old school because I was just looking at all the different videos and things of that nature, and I went out. I got the microphone. Why? Because I saw people talking to through the microphone. I bought the webcam. I got the headphones. And I got all this stuff, because I just wanted to be jazzy, only to find out that all you need is your cell phone. Well, go figure. That sucks. So now you know, or I should say now I know. But anyway, I figured, like I said, the first day or EP1, episode one of this podcast is basically to introduce myself, to tell you what the podcast is about, and to also challenge you to do something that you always imagined or, that you wanted to do, but you haven't done it. And that way, you and I can measure our progress starting from now up until the end of December, and we can hold one another accountable. We can, whatever that might be. It could be um, losing weight, doing Zumba, or, creating your own podcast or playing an instrument, whatever it is that you want to do. At the end of the day, we're going to hold one another accountable. Um, I chose February to launch this iPad or podcast. I keep saying iPad, it just goes to show. Anyway, I chose the month of February because February has always been a very good month for me. I mean, I bought one of my homes in the month of February. One of my besties, her friend, one of my best friends, her birthday is in the month of February. I became an empty nester. My last child, he moved out in the month of February. And so, on top of that, February is a month of love. So, so that's why it was very endearing for me to launch this podcast during the month. Now, I could have done it at the beginning of the year and different things of that nature, but I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to keep it simple, and I know I didn't want to talk about politics and things of that nature because there's podcasts and news and videos all over that talks about that stuff. Because like I know, salacious news sell, right? And so people want to see people's downfall and different things of that nature. For you and I, we're going to keep it simple, maybe we can do like random thoughts. And what I mean by that is I'll give you an example. So yesterday I had a taste for a hot dog. And so where I moved, or I should say, I'm a Jersey girl. I'm from the state of New Jersey, and no matter where you go, just about anywhere, you can go get a hot dog. You know, we call them Italian hot dogs, which comes with lettuce and peppers and onions, or, you can, in other words, you can just find a hot dog anywhere. So, anyway, in the new state that I live in, I'm like, yeah, there's no hot dog spots, or at least not near my home. And so I decided to go on DoorDash, and they found a spot that sells hot dogs a couple of miles away from where I live. And so I'm sorry, guys, I'm just checking the time. I have to do 15 minutes. But anyway, so I called up because when I looked at the menu, they was talking about $8 for a hot dog. So I called up just to find out what a plain hot dog would cost on a bun. That's it. You don't have to do any toppings. I will do my own toppings. I'll put mustard and ketchup on it, or, you know, something, I'll find onions, whatever, you know. Even with that, the guy still told me it was $6. And me, not, mama always say, if you ain't got something nice to say, don't say it at all. And so I hung up the phone because my first thought is to cuss him out. But I mean, his prices are his prices. Who am I to complain? That's what you do. That's what you do. But anyway, I had to say to myself, girl, you better go to the local supermarket, get a pack of hot dogs. I don't, in a loaf of white bread. I don't even need the hot dog bun. I just, and I say that because I think it's crazy. Another random thing that kind of sort of came to mind is yesterday, or maybe a couple of days ago, I came across a video of a friend of mine. He's doing really well for himself. I call him my little brother because, we just grew up in the same neighborhood, went to the same school, what have you. But anyway, he was talking about, his age and going to the bathroom. And he said in the men's bathroom, in the urinals, they have these little, I guess he referred to it like bees or target. And I'm assuming it's there to help little boys that use the bathroom aim properly, if that makes sense. And you know what I mean by that. So anyway, he was saying that he missed the target when he went to use the bathroom, and it just had me laughing all damn day, and it's just amazing. You know, it's I guess what I'm trying to say is it's just simple things like that I just want to keep this podcast to. Like I said, simple and funny, because all that negative stuff that's going on in the world, that's not for us. So maybe the first part of the podcast, again, will hold each other accountable in terms of whatever goal we're trying to reach. And then maybe a few minutes after that, we'll talk about, things that are random. Anyway, thank you again for joining this podcast. And I can't wait to connect with you next week. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.